pass the stimulus package. He said that naysayers in the Congress and in the Senate were wrong, and that a stimulus package is, after all, nothing more than a spending package. What did they think it was? We cannot adhere to the time-worn principles of tax cutting, which have brought us to this position. He also reminded everyone that there was a $2 trillion deficit awaiting him when he arrived in the Oval Office a little over 2 weeks ago. We'll go now to a word from our sponsors and come back with the rest of the news. One programming note, the interview with Sue Langley that had been scheduled for this coming Monday has been postponed to Thursday, February 19th. The interview with Sue Langley from Lloyd's will be Thursday, February the 19th. I've received a few emails from people with suggested questions from Ms. Langley, so you do have a little bit more time now to get them in. The Troubled Asset Relief Program, or the TARP, is in trouble itself. This morning on the CBS Morning Show, a report surfaced indicating that the government's $700 billion financial rescue problems may in fact have overpaid banks by billions of taxpayer dollars. One of the big problems with the TARP was how to value the toxic assets the bank were putting up in exchange for receiving bailout money. A congressional oversight panel recently took a look at the first $254 billion the government spent buying shares of the big banks to keep them afloat. After 6 weeks of number crunching, they found out that the Treasury Department overpaid by a whopping $78 billion for those assets. The investigative panel said that last fall, the government spent $254 billion on assets that were worth only $176 billion. Among the recipients, Citigroup was paid $25 billion by the Treasury for $15 billion worth of assets. The government also paid AIG $40 billion for assets that the panel valued at less than $15 billion. So how much is $78 billion, and what does that compare to what the U.S. government spends elsewhere? Well, it's more than what the government spends on its nuclear weapons and related programs. That's only $52 billion. It's more than they spend on the National School Lunch Program. That's only $8 billion. And it's $73 billion more than the $5 billion they spend on cancer research. Harvard law professor Elizabeth Warren, who chairs the 5-member congressional oversight panel that did the investigation, said on CBS this morning they're trying to push money into banks. And the question the oversight panel was asking is, are you getting an equivalent amount back? Ms. Warren said that her panel's report is not about seeking criminal prosecution, but rather shining a light on the actions of the Treasury Department, which was given the responsibility of disbursing $700 billion with tremendous leeway. This is going to explode on Capitol Hill. Take my word for it. Something else that's exploding in Tokyo right now is unprecedented news that Japan's Toyota Motor Corporation, the world's biggest car maker, has said that it now faces an operating loss of about $5 billion for the fiscal year that will end in March.